Okay, this video is for the folks who would like to maybe work ahead if the pace of following in the classroom is maybe a little bit too slow for you. If you're doing this and you're following the video, you still got to follow everything, and you don't miss anything just because you're doing the video. Okay, so here we go. Um, we have uh, the diagram or the syllabus going on right here. It's the same as what you have, but you might notice that my Illustrator, it looks a little bit different than yours. And just like I was telling you guys earlier, mine is a little bit different in that it's dark in the work area on the outside here. So on mine, I don't have any hard time and any difficulty seeing the mixing bowl, the Coca-Cola, and the Nike swoosh and all that, but you will, right? So in order to make it so that you can see those things, what you'd have to do is you go to your rectangle tool and you'll go and you'll make a box around the outside, not going over top of, but just around the outside of this. And you would change yours to gray or black or just something so it's going to be darker than the other things. And then you will right click and you will go to arrange and you'll say send to back. And when you send it back, you'll be able to see it. Then you can go back to your selection tool, and if you hold down Alt, you can make a copy of what you had there. And here we go. There we go. And you just do the same thing, move this off to the side, maybe make this go down a little bit lower so that you can see the camera too. So this won't be seen by anybody. This is just something we're putting back here so you can see those details. And so here we go. The whole purpose of doing this is because we want to go to this page right here, and this is the most boring page here talking about all this stuff, and we want to try and use our new graphic design skills that we're working on in order to make this page look a little bit better. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the Coca-Cola here, and this is so important. Please don't mess this up because you got to do this the rest of the semester. Take your free hand, and I want you to hold the keyboard down. I want you to press Shift. And when you grab Shift, you grab a corner. So it could be the top left, the bottom left, top right, bottom right, but never ever grab the bottom or the top in the middle or the sides in the middle because it won't work. What you'll end up with is like a squished Coca-Cola like that. So always hold down Shift. Always, always, always hold down Shift. Okay, so I want to take this Coca-Cola, I want to make it a little bit smaller. I'm holding down Shift, and then I've just put this over here, and it's going to fill in this space right here. All right, so commercial art, Coca-Cola, makes sense to me. Actually, doesn't make sense to me because I actually put Coca-Cola here because I thought it was a nice example of typography. Okay, so typography is just the way the letters look. So here we go. Done. Typography. Maybe I'll make it a little bit smaller, a little bit more off to the side so it doesn't confuse anybody when they're looking at it. Okay. Next up, what was I thinking? Okay. I was thinking illustration. Actually, I was thinking of Apple right here. Now, I actually only want the apple. I want the illustration of the apple. So I want to use a new tool that we haven't used yet. I'm going to go to the direct selection tool. I'm going to use that, and I'm going to click on just the C. And then I'm going to, on my keyboard here, look at your keyboard, look at for the backspace or delete button, and you just hit backspace a couple times. And then I click on the I, and I'll hit backspace a couple times, and the same thing with the S, and the U, and the M. So if you have a group of items that are all stuck together, clicking on one of them with the direct selection tool will select only one part. So I can select just the bottom part or just the top part, and that's one of the things that this white direct select tool does. Okay, so I'm going to click on the apple here, and I don't want it to be black. I don't think that looks particularly good right there, so I'm going to switch this over to white. So I'm just gonna go here, and again, if you do this and you don't see any changes, check to make sure that this fill right here is white, and we don't want to have any stroke, so nothing for this part right here. So just that. All right, so I'm going to hold down Shift to grab the corner, make it a little bit smaller, and move it down to illustration. So now we have an illustration of the apple. Cool. All right. All right, now I was thinking for copywriting, the I'm loving it could be kind of cool. But again, I don't want to have anything other than I'm loving it. So I'm going to go to the direct selection tool. I'm going to click off to the side just for a second, and then I'm going to click back on here. I'm going to click on the white, and I'm going to hit backspace. I'm going to click on the McDonald's and get rid of that. There's a few layers of it. Just click on all that stuff with the white selection tool and hit backspace until it goes away. Cool. If you accidentally click on the background here, that will go away. Just press Control Z if you do. All right, I'm loving it here. And again, I don't know if I want it to be in black. I kind of maybe want to keep it. Black's not terrible actually, but I want to keep everything consistent, so I'm going to go to white. So maybe do that. Put this over here. So cool, copyright. I'm loving it. All right, cool. Next, I'm going to go to the Nike swoosh. I'm going to go up here, move this over to here. I kind of think that when I think of commercial art, I think of Nike. I don't know. I just do. All right, next up, I have these squares here. And when it comes to making layouts, a lot of times we work on what's called a grid. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take the direct selection tool, and I kind of feel like I want to make them into a nice grid. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to line them up. So I'm going to click on this top one, and then I'm going to click on this one right here. And then I'm going to go to View. Sorry, I'm going to go to Window. And I'm going to go to Align. Make sure that Align is checked. Yours won't be by default, so you got to do this. Mine already is because I'm already doing that. When you do, you'll see this happen right here. So what I want to do right now is I have this one selected here, and then I'm going to hold down Shift. And I'm going to grab on to the next one. So I have two selected at the same time. So really quickly, if you miss that, I click on this, and then I hold down Shift. And now I have those two selected. And I'm going to click one more time, not holding down Shift. This hand is free. I'm just going to click one more time, and you see that blue frame going around this one. And I'm going to go ahead and say horizontal align center. And now those two are lined up with one another. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one and this one. Actually, maybe before I do that, I'm going to click on this one right here, and I'm going to move this up so it's a little bit higher. And I'll move this one over just a little bit. All right, so cool. I'm going to click on this one, hold down Shift, grab this one, and again, click this horizontal align center button. Boom, and the two are straightened. And now I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to align them flat. So now they're even with each other that way. I'm going to click on this one, and I'm going to click on this one without holding down Shift. So see how that's highlighted in blue right there? And now that's aligned. And now I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to click on this one right here and hold down Shift and click on this one right here. And I want to nudge these two so they're closer together. So I do that by taking my free hand and going over to the keyboard, and then I just go to the little arrows. All right, so I have this nice, cool little grid going on here, but they're all separate boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my free hand, I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to grab all of these at the same time. Then I'm going to go up to the very top, I'm going to go to Object, and I'm going to say Group. Just like that. So now, if I click off, okay, I click on one of these, I've clicked on all of them. Just like that. Okay? I'm going to hold down Shift, make them a little bit smaller, and move them over to Layout. So that's my layout. Cool. All right, this is looking great. Okay. Last, you can see where the camera's going to go, right? It's going to go on photography. So I'm going to go over here, and there's something about this picture here that's different from everything else. And this is important, and this is on bingo. So check it out. If I zoom in, or let's say if I make this apple really big, no matter how big I make this apple, and if I zoom in on it, no matter how close I get to it, you see the edges always say nice and smooth because this is a vector image. This is a raster image. I copied and pasted it from a folder I had, and this is a picture that's made up out of pixels. If I click on it, you'll notice there isn't a blue line going around the outside, and if I zoom in really, really close, you'll see the pixels going around the outside, and it doesn't look terribly good. So I'm going to back out. Okay, so most of the time you would you work with a raster image that has pixels like this. You'd actually use Photoshop for that. That's what Photoshop is for. And Illustrator is not for this kind of file. I mean, you can use it, but it's not really what Illustrator's for. And so I want to switch this over. I want to try and convert this. And there's a little shortcut you can do if you have a good enough image that works well enough. You can click on it, and you go up to the top right here, and there's this image trace button. And there's a little arrow next to it. We're going to click on that arrow, and we're going to say black and white logo because it's a very simple image. You can play around with these later on if you get a chance, but we're going to go with black and white logo. Cool. And now it's the beginning of a raster image. Next, I want to go to expand, and what that's going to do is that's going to give me little anchor points, little paths going around the outside, and we'll talk about paths later on. So I have that. Now I'm going to go to my direct selection tool, and I'm going to click on the outside of this. I'm going to hit backspace. Cool. I even hit backspace on this white part right here and on this white part right here. Again, with the white selection tool. Okay, the direct selection tool. Okay, and I guess I have this one last little sliver here. I'm going to hit backspace on. Okay, now I'm going to go over here to the regular selection tool, click on this part here, and you notice the fill color is black, and just like everything else, I want this to be white, so I'm going to make that white. I'm going to hold down Shift with my free hand here, and I'm going to scale this down so it's nice and small. And yeah, there we go. I think that's a lot better. We have all of our cool images here. If you want, you can click on this stuff here that was in the background and just go ahead and delete it. We don't need it anymore. Oh, there's one more thing actually. Sorry. All right, so you still need the blender. I thought the blender would be a good one for graphic design. So we're going to go make that small. Just hold down Shift, make it nice and small. And the reason I put the blender there is because graphic design takes all of these things, illustration, typography, copywriting, layout, photography, and mixes them all into one wonderful commercial art thing. Okay, cool. I think that's much better. All right, so I think we're about ready to go. Hopefully you've read through the whole thing. There's one last thing I want to have changed right here, and that's B. B level, B grade work. All right, so if you click on this right here, you'll get a little question mark on the fill because there's a white fill for the letters and then there's a gray fill for this, so it doesn't know what the fill is. I want to just select the gray background, and I want to change that gray background. So I'm going to go to the direct selection tool and click on that, and you notice now it's just this dark gray because I directly selected just that part. Another way I could do this if I wanted to would be to click on this and go to Object, and go to Ungroup. But I don't really care to do that right now. So here we go. Click on dark gray. All right. So the reason I want to change this, my original thinking was the A would be like gold, like a gold medal, and then the B would be like silver a silver medal, and C would be like bronze. So that's why it's brown. Okay. Not poop, bronze. All right. But I look at the silver here, and I think there's going to be a problem. I think it might be difficult to read because the silver is too light. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to my swatches, and I'm just going to choose a slightly darker shade of gray for that so that it's easier to read. All right, once you have this, hopefully you've given everything a good read. You can go ahead and hit save, and in class I will show you how to print this, and then you can staple it all together, take it home, and bring it back to me for your credit. So hopefully you all learned something. If you need to go back and rewind, you already know you can rewind. All right, have a good day.